Today is Tuesday, March 13th, 2018. This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Goz. To my left is Dan Tom. Back in New York, that is Danny. And in the Peanut Gallery, Buffalo Blue and Bugsy from Las Vegas. You can't see them or hear them, but I promise you they're here.
You tell Blue over there that I am deeply saddened that he didn't jump on the mic and say hi to me like he does normally when he's in the studio. That's like normally what I look forward to, is he jumps on the mic and says, "Hey, Danny."
Hey, Blue.
But he didn't.
Danny says he doesn't like you.
Danny's disappointed.
He just gave you a throat slash. What do you think about that, Danny?
I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
Are you upset that I summed up everything you just said in something very simple that will get you in trouble?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
Gotta say it hurts a little bit.
Let's see here. Today has been a shit day so far, guys. How
Oh,
about
no.
you guys?
It already started.
Had a shit game, right? Or a shit day?
Yeah. Yeah.
I know Danny has. I know, Dan, you're not having a great day. I'm not having a great day.
What happened to your day, though? You just started. My day kind of rolled in the last 2 days because I haven't slept, so that's my excuse. But what the hell? It's March Madness.
I know, that's the big problem.
What is the problem, then?
2 minutes.
Explain.
2 minutes.
We are being kicked out of our studio.
Oh.
For March Madness. So now we got to find another spot.
Oh, like in multiple ways you mean being kicked out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Meh. DJ. Is that Mo from The Simpsons that they ripped in that that Chronic 2000 album song?
I have no idea what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, that song, what does it start? DJ, and it's like, dun, 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 dun. I don't know. Don't make me sing.
Anybody listening that knows what?
Yeah, please. It's off the Chronic 2000. It's off one of the most notable hip hop albums that's been ever. It's not like I'm pulling out of thin air here. This is a notable album, and I don't remember the track name. I'm looking like a fool now. So come to my rescue, Junkie Nation.
Ask George. See if George knows.
The album Chronic 2000. Remember that album?
Do it all over again.
Don't make me
Coming up in a minute. Do it all over again.
All the hits that came out of it.
Oh, he's playing the cool.
You know
I know it. I know it.
I think so.
Yeah. So
Jesus.
ask him, Dan.
There's this weird song. It starts off with an audio drop. It sounds like it's like Mo from The Simpsons, but it goes DJ, and then you hear the piano kind of notes cueing. It's not still Dre,
that's where
but
it gets
it's like
past me, man.
Okay, yeah. It's just a weird start to a song. It's like it's the most odd start of all the songs on that album. It always just stuck out to me. Like, what is that? Is that Mo from The Simpsons?
I may
What's this?
have a solution to March Madness. I'm working on it.
Did we talk to him yet or not yet?
I haven't seen him.
Did you see my latest email?
Yeah.
We got crushed with that one. Crushed. I couldn't believe it when I read that.
Hey! Coming up in 10, guys. Stand by.
What's Danny yapping about?
Some guy probably flashed him.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMAjunkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is going to be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
From the fight capital of the world inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me as always, it's Devious and Dastardly Goes. Our co-host, to my left, it's the fight analyst, Dan Tom. And of course, back east, handling all the producing duties, Danny Otto's in the house. What's up, guys?
What up?
Not much.
Morning.
Turn it around, George. Today's a shitty day, right?
No, it's a great day. Man U is going to take the momentum from last Saturday when they defeated their hated rivals, Liverpool.
Ooh.
And they are going to go and keep it going. They're going to qualify for the next round, the final 8 of the UEFA Champions League. I cannot wait. As soon as the show's over, yeah, and I'm out. I'm going to go home and watch it. Shepherd's Pie is going to be in the house. Jack Russell Terrier right next to me. He watches all the games with me, so I'm fired up. Unless you have some there is some potential news from yesterday, bad news, that I've just filed under, like, what are you going to do?
We have to record that thing, too, after the show.
The thing, no problem. We can record the thing. But,
you have to record another thing, too, now.
Another thing? What thing?
It only took 10 seconds for me, though.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. So I'm good to go. Why are you trying to put me in a down mood?
Well, I know. I'm trying to get you to lift the spirits of everybody else.
Oh, why are you down?
Danny's had a bad day. Dan came in here moping. Buffalo Blue came in here sulping. Bugsy had a great attitude today, which made me mad.
So, all right. Well, here we are. We got 3 guests on today's show. We have Max Griffin will be the first one up in about 30 minutes or so. He is coming off a huge win over Mike Perry. And, in fact, I think I got to go into the I may confess. I'm going to have to go into the stat picks. I may have gone with Perry on that one.
I wouldn't do that if I were you.
Why?
He's been a little angry
nickname's Pain?
that nobody had his back.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's part of the fun for me, honestly. I know one day I'll get dealt with, and if it happens, it happens. But I like shooting people straight. I didn't think he had it, man. Perry had started Perry. Remember when he knocked out Jake?
Yeah.
And then Alan Joban had taken him out before that. He was a little inconsistent, but he was fighting, man. He was throwing so hard that I just wasn't sure that being at home, I thought he was going to rise to the occasion, just put his hands on Griffin. It would be too much. But Griffin had a great game plan, you know what I mean? And it takes a lot of cardio and a lot of patience to do what he did. And next thing you know, he was breaking Perry. So I just want to give him his props. I like going through the journey with him. Even if I doubted them, I'll be the first to shake their hand and go, wow, that was incredible. I mean, like, if he were to sit here and go, hey, pick all 12 fights, he'd get some wrong too. So,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I hear you.
We'll also talk to Aspen Ladd. She's going to be fighting Leslie Smith, UFC Fight Night. You know what? I'm just going to go with Atlantic City. I think it's either 127 or 128. It's coming up in April. I think it's going to be 128, actually. Same card as Kevin Lee and Edson Barbosa. Ooh. So we'll talk to the undefeated Aspen Ladd, 6-0 overall, and climbing up the ranks slowly. We've seen her go through Tough Enough, so it reminds me a little bit of Ronda Rousey, just without the superstardom. But who knows? You never know, man. If she just keeps it going. She's not like Ronda, where she's like so brazen and out there, you know what I mean? She's really, really quiet and respectful. But either way, it's been fun covering her career. And then our last guest will be Mike Jackson. Mike Jackson could be that piece to the whole CM Punk puzzle. Punk's already said, I'm fighting in Chicago. He already proclaimed that. All right, now who's your opponent going to be? We can rack our brains all day and night, but I just think Mike Jackson makes the most sense. I'd like to get him that fight. He went out there and fought Mickey Gall. They just weren't even,
The problem is the whole thing.
He's just a part of that equation, and I think him and Punk just can solve it. And good for Mike, because Punk brings a big audience, and there'll be he'll probably be on the main card, I imagine, right? CM Punk in Chicago?
Oh, yeah.
So I just have to understand that's a big position for him. And, Mike never entered this sport to win a title. You know what I mean? So I have tremendous amount of respect for what he did, and I'd love to see him just win this fight and be 1-1, and that's it.
I just don't know what we're accomplishing with any of it. Happy for Mike if he gets it, and I think it makes sense. But it doesn't mean that the whole situation makes sense.
I've been against Punk fighting to begin with.
So much money is going towards a guy that, I mean, what is he going to do? What is he going to do for
It's a
us
business
all?
transaction. It's a business transaction for the UFC. I know that in no way this is one where Dana White can't spin and say he's a contender. We're looking. He's been getting better. No.
Wait,
It's just
popular?
it boils down to he's
So
popular. It's a
if
business
Paris
transaction.
Hilton said, "I've been training
I
for the
know.
last." You know what I mean? Like,
I
it
know.
just does nothing for me.
I think it makes sense in the sense of I see what Go's saying. I see what you're saying, George. But I think it makes sense in the sense of like two untied shoelaces, right? I mean, we've already put the CM Punk in the pool. We've already put the Mike Jackson in the pool. Whatever your opinions are, I think this is a perfect opportunity to kind of tie those two shoelaces and let's just make a knot. Let's
Yeah,
let's
and
tie
that'll
off.
be it. I think for both of them, honestly. You know, if Mike's been doing some incredible training out there, okay, but why hasn't he fought since then? Would be my question. So I'd love for him to get a fight here and grab that win, and that's that. And then the CM Punk experiment would be over. I thought the CM Punk experiment was over last time because I didn't think he did any better than James Toney, and they were quick to just rid themselves of that one. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's not like
right.
they said, let's give James another guy. You know,
People forgot about that one.
right? And James lasted 3 minutes with Randy Couture.
That's a kind way to put it.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah. So it's gonna happen. That's one thing we're aware of now. It's gonna happen. Punk let the cat out of the bag, but I think we all suspected that there was a fight coming. We didn't know when, and so good analogy there, Dan. Kind of what I felt the other day about the daily debate with GSP and Connor. And at 165, it's like, why interrupt what the 55ers are doing? They're gonna have an undisputed champion soon with all kinds of contenders. And then Woodley's got his hands full, whether it's RDA or Colby Covington or whatever. My first option would be GSP versus Woodley. But since it appears that's not going to happen, then have Woodley beat or fight contenders, have the Nurmi and Ferguson fight be for the undisputed title. We now have a world champion who can hopefully stay healthy and defend, and then these other two can open up a division, make themselves useful, and then at some point, I mean, they'll probably make so much money that maybe one of the two will continue to defend, or maybe that's it. They just opened a division. They did their.
That's the biggest problem with GSP, though. Is we never know. I think if he were to say, "Hey guys, I will be around for 4 fights," then I think maybe they would be more keen in doing something.
You can't
like
believe
that.
him though, because
You don't want him to win a belt and then just walk away.
He said he
again.
was going to defend at 85, and then he signed, fight at 85 and defend. And I think we all saw the writing on the wall. It was like, oh, these guys are too big. And he said a lot of things. Remember on our show in 2009, I think he was in our studio, and he goes, if I go up, I'm never coming back. And now he's even teasing that he could do lightweight. Because that's what he needed. He needed the frame to fight Anderson Silva. And I believe him. I mean, okay, you do need it, but I don't know. GSP's been a little inconsistent. As good of a guy as he is and as square as he is, he's also gone against what he said before.
Right. It's like the episode of The Simpsons. I don't know if it was Bart or Homer, but they're in that point where all the states intersect. He's like, now I'm in this state. Now I'm in this state. Now I'm in this state. Now, and it feels like he's doing that dance right now.
Yeah, but now I will say this on behalf of him. He, what's wrong with using your name to come back and make some money? He actually punked the UFC, if you think about it. He got the title shot, and now he may or he may not fight, and he just kind of keeps hanging around. Why? Because he knows he can sell. So he's kind of like a version of Conor McGregor, except a more polite and classy version.
It's hard to argue with the
I mean?
numbers too. I mean, when we talk about best resume, I mean, who's up there higher than GSP? Who's got a cleaner resume and free of PED or free of all these other nonsense stuff? It's GSP. So if anybody deserves it, again, it's not that we're coming at that. He's a good guy. I mean,
he's a good guy, and he was kind enough to vacate right away. None of this hanging around.
That's why I think he took advantage of the UFC.
Yep.
Yeah. I think Conor McGregor punks the UFC.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. Maybe. Yeah, that more of a dissection there. Yeah.
I like it. All right. Well, anyway, those will be our 3 guests, and they're all spaced out every 30 minutes. So if you see a pocket, feel free to call in 866-522-2846. We'll do our daily debate. We'll talk about March Madness, which is coming up. I did my pool yesterday, and I wanted to keep things tight because there's always those jackass players that have like 3 1s and a 2 and feel like they called it. You know what I mean? Nobody really has the nerve to put 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four, but everyone always disguises it like they went out, against the grain, and they have 3 1s and a 2.
But when's the last time you won one, though?
I haven't won one in a long time.
So, yeah, I mean, you're going to have to switch up that strategy, right?
Just like our
No, but you know what? Because it's only $25, and I gained that $25 by by a 5 beating, or excuse me, a 12 beating a 5 here. So I have no problem with that.
It has nothing to do with the money. It has to do with the cred.
It does, but I've won it before, and when I won it like that, I didn't feel like, hey, everyone, you know, I'm an expert. Line up so I can sign some autographs.
No,
I didn't get that feeling. Round. Yeah, and that's what happens. So you start taking these chances, and what happens is the guy that keeps his game tight, he gets those extra points, and then in the end, you both have the same winner, and you can't catch them. It's mathematically impossible. That part does become frustrating, but I can't do it, man. Every year when I'm filling them out, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it. I'm like, I can't do it. I can't just go, you know, all the 4s to the Sweet 16, 1 through 4, the Sweet 16. I can't do it.
It wasn't last year.
I might as well be a bot. I might as well just forget to do it, but program a bot to do it.
Wasn't last year. I think it was the year before. Because I'm kind of with you. But there was one year where you just couldn't avoid going 1 and 2 just because those teams were so strong. I mean, you'd be a maniac if you picked against them. But
I got Arizona winning it all.
Really?
Yeah.
What's the odds on that?
Can you see? Goes? I see Stanley Cup.
I see Arkansas.
I see NBA.
No,
oh, yeah, over there. Look.
Where?
Men's College Ball Championship.
Oh.
Arizona. Oh, they just changed. And Arizona is not on that board. But if anybody's curious about Texas Southern, they're at 8,000 to 1.
I see Arizona Coyotes with the empty dash.
Arizona Coyotes? Oh, that's hockey.
Okay.
No, hold on a second. That board will change. Goes. See there on the left.
On the left, right here.
Yeah. Okay. See, it just changed.
Villanova
4-1. Virginia
12 to 1.
12 to 1.
Yeah.
Ah. See. I'm going with them.
I think I'm gonna go with Kansas.
I saw them play a few times in this Pac-10 tournament, and then they got that blue. What's that guy's name? Aiden or something like that? Yeah. Whoo, man. He can ball. That NBA guys are there to look at that guy. You know, he's going to be a top 3 pick, man. I'd love for the Lakers to get someone like that. But I just think they are athletic, and they have that big man who can board and score. So I don't know. I saw the other teams play all year. Virginia and Villanova was cool, but who do you got? Are you doing one, or are you still?
I think I'm gonna go Kansas.
Are you gonna do one?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. I don't know about no Kansas though. Are you gonna do one?
I just mistook Arizona for Coyotes. Yeah, Coyotes. You think I should be walking into that? But
those are the people that win. I'm telling you, if I told my mom to get in one, she'd have 4 number 1s at the end, and she'd be right there.
Can you give me the end of the show?
Right there in the mix.
And I'll have a submission. You guys can hold me.
Yeah, I'll forward you the link.
Okay.
Are you gonna be in the blue? Yeah. Bugsy, do you play the NCAA? No, I sure don't. No? All right. A what? Boxing? All right. Take some calls. 866-522-2846 is the number to call in. Who do we have, Danny?
We have Chris from Seattle. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We have Chris from Seattle. Yeah.
Wow.
What's up, Chris? How you doing?
Good. How you doing, Joy? What's up, Gigi? What's up, Big Blue?
Oh, what's up, man?
How you guys doing, man?
We're doing good. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to be in Vegas Friday, so I was going to stop by the studio.
You will not find us here.
Yeah. We've kind of gotten kicked out a little bit, so I don't know. We'll be around, but I don't think we'll be at the studio as much. We won't have as big of a presence as we had in other years.
We have to say you bear with us.
The game, so I figure I would stop over right by the studio. We're in your neighborhood.
You'll find us. Come on down, bud.
I got your number, Brian. I'll give you a text. See where you guys are at.
Okay.
Okay. All right, fellas. Take care.
Oh, okay. All right. See you, Chris. That was it.
All right. Later.
All right. Nothing MMA related.
No, he just wanted to say he's going to come by.
I put what's up next to the caller now.
What's up?
I always put funny notes next to callers, by the way, for people who call, and sometimes they're pretty comical based on what the call is about.
Showtime from Tennessee. What's up?
What's up, fellas?
Showtime.
What's up?
Nothing much. Hey, I wanted to get a. What did that GSP Bisbing fight do number wise, and what did this last card in Vegas Cyborg? What kind of numbers?
I happen to know that.
240,
No, this one was 260 with Cyborg and Kunitskaya, and the other one was 880. It was in New York with Joanna and Rose and GSP and Bisping.
Okay, so basically Cyborg did 260, kind of on a quick turnaround fight with what, 3 weeks promotion? That's about what it was, or month.
I don't know that it would have mattered though if she would have had longer time to promote. I think it's Cyborg. You tune in or you don't.
But her numbers went up.
Yeah.
Cyborg seems like she's like the BJ Penn of this era, right? Like BJ Penn was always good for a 4 to 5K average. He wasn't the top guy, but he was a strong top tier middle class guy they could count on. I think Cyborg, even in the criticisms of the low numbers era we're in, I think Cyborg is good for maybe like a 2.
That's
2K,
a good night for them,
right?
Yeah, 260,000 is a good night for them. Considering that it wasn't a sellout at the arena, they only had 3 weeks to promote her. The opponent is really someone that was like an unknown.
Yeah.
And really, this is a division that, let's just say, doesn't really exist. It's there on paper, but nothing's coming out of it. It's just like, hey, we happen to have a fighter. If she's good, pay to watch her fight, you know. And people are doing it, and then slowly the numbers are going up. So I think the UFC's got to be pleased with that. Now, when they outline a Vegas card, 3-4 months away, they were expecting more than 260 and more than that gate, that's for sure. But considering everything that happened, to walk away with that, I think they just go, whoo, all right, let's get out of here and let's move on to the next one. Let's focus on Brooklyn.
You could say that. You could say that about a lot of the Vegas cards, though. I mean, we've kind of harped on
as of late. It's been terrible. I mean,
it was
like
what
Ferguson Lee didn't do that well.
I mean, you could argue the injury bug in MMA. There's a separate bug aside from the injury bug, like a card bug, like what UFC 149, that Calgary card in Canada, and Canada kind of had a curse, right? They had the UFC 150 something card pull out with Jones. They kind of had that curse for a while, bad cards, and now Vegas has had that run. I wonder who's the next geographic region of the world that's going to have a bad UFC run, guys.
New York.
Yeah.
Well, New York's New York's been on fire, though. Are you sure?
No, that's why I'm saying.
Oh, you're jinxing them. Okay.
I'm jinxing them.
It's commission's doing its best to help Goes cash that bet right now. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this fight they have is a dandy, and then they got the rematch of the strawweights.
Okay.
So that's a nice 1-2 punch out there in Brooklyn. Felder and Iaquinta are on the card. Who else is on the card? Anybody got a handy?
I'm licking my chops.
You're going. Do you know?
Yeah. Zabit. Got Calvin Cater versus Renato Moicano. Underrated featherweight fight right there.
Is that main card?
No, not main card. But I mean, it's one of those cards where it's almost scheduled like a strong fight night, which I love. I love
JJ.
Yeah.
Chiesa Pettis.
But if you look at usually where the strong main cards will fall out on these pay-per-views, especially of late, it'll be a really, really poor, weak undercard, right? Whereas we'll have these sleeper like UFC Norfolk, where it's kind of strong all the way through.
Right.
This UFC 223 feels like a nice balance of both. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Hey, check this out, guys. If we talking about the Moicano cat, just think if that card probably would have went to a decision. I think he was beating T-City until T-City submitted it.
That was a great fight.
I like that kid, man.
Yeah,
so do I.
It's tough.
Yeah, so do I, man. I like Moicano as well.
You guys said something too, man, about New York, about the UFC finally getting to New York. That it does seem like they stealing some of the Vegas cars, man. Some of the cars that would normally be in Vegas, that they sending them to New York because you got to do it big in New York. So I'm kind of looking at it kind of sideways a little bit on that.
Yeah. We talked about that every time the vote was coming up short. We knew that would be huge for the UFC, huge for the sport, but I knew there was, someone was going to take a hit. If you'll notice, they haven't gone back to Sweden as much as they used to. Brazil, that same thing there, So something's taken a hit, and the UFC's delivered. Everything they told New York they were going to do, they sure as hell delivered. Not just the shows that are in the Big Apple, but they went to a couple other cities as well and done well. So, good for them. And now, a few weeks ago, we started talking about some card here in Vegas. UFC, what is it? UFC 226, I think. They're like, bring it, man, bring it. Just super fights all the way. We deserve it. We've been getting waxed. Thanks for the call, Showtime. Let's go on to Brandon in Louisville. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, boys. How's it going today?
Brandon.
How are you?
Good. What's up? How's it going? Yeah, we've established this. Talk.
Well, I don't know how y'all doing. I just got
on hold.
I was on hold for like 5 minutes. It was just showtime. You know what? Gigi, I love you, and that's the only reason I'm putting up with your bullshit today.
So what's up, man?
Not much. Did you go see Game Night last night, Gigi?
Oh, dude.
Gang Night?
No, Game Night.
Oh, that movie we were talking about?
Oh, guys, go see Game Night. Serious. It's a great movie. And I was laughing. I was entertained. even when it gets silly, it's still good. I'm telling you. I knew barely anything going into it. Sat down, and Ghost and I had a rough 24 hours because we have other stuff that's going on that we're trying to like finish and get past, like projects. And so it was tough to really like. I thought I was just gonna sit there and have my mind on work, and if anything, it took my mind off work.
Nice.
And then we were able to pull through with some stuff that we're trying to do. So it was great, man. Jason Bateman is the star's name, along with Rachel McAdams. They the couple that likes to play game night or games, have a game night, and they were really funny. They had good chemistry.
Isn't that the case though, guys? You said a great point there that most of the movies, when I think back on it, or memorable to good, were based on going in there with low to no expectations, right? When you didn't know anything about the movie. That's when it's most funny. That's when a movie's most good, or even most scary. Like, I remember the movie The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas, right? Not very good effects, maybe not the most greatest or the most scariest movie in retrospect, but, 13-year-old Dan Tom going in the theater with a friend, not knowing anything about the movie, and just kind of watching, getting taken in. Sometimes that's the best, just not knowing anything, because you don't know what to expect. Your receptors are kind of more tuned.
For sure. I mean, look at the disappointment that the Star Wars trilogy's delivered for some.
Yes.
Others come out of there going,
Good example.
fuck yeah, they
Great
delivered.
example.
And then there's others that are going, fuck, man, I camped out, or I looked forward to this. I dressed up.
So high,
and then next thing you know, it's just
that too.
Days are ruined. Finish up, Brandon. What's up, bud?
Stupid nerds.
I was going to say I concur with game night. It was excellent. The UFC in Chicago, is Romero and Whitaker official?
Sounds like it. Yep.
All right, so we've got that. We've got Overeem and Blade. We have Carla and Gadea. We probably have CM Punk. This is starting to sneak up as a decent card, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, I guess the placement of Punk and Jackson, if it turns out to be Jackson, will be one that most hardcores won't enjoy. The casual audience that's going, they'll be digging it. And look, in the end, people are going to be into it because it is a famous person from another sport that's coming in, and you're either going to root for him to get his ass kicked or maybe to get the win. So it'll translate in the arena. I don't think it'll make for a bad experience. I don't believe anyone that says, that's when I'm going to grab a beer, or that's when I'm going to, take a leak or whatever. No, you'll be watching. One way or another, you will be watching. But so far they're surrounding it with some relevant names, some names that are native to Chicago. So that's pretty good. Thanks for the call, bud. We got to do one more before we go to commercial. Marco from Waco. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa?
¿Qué pasa? What's going? Yeah, what's up, man?
First of all, pro wrestling, not a sport. Performance arts, entertainment, not a sport. Because when you got the result predetermined, it kind of sort of defeats the purpose of calling it a sport. Okay?
Yeah.
Let's just put a spade a spade. Let's call a spade a spade. So, two things. First, Nick Newell, he's been making the rounds, and everybody talking about him going to the UFC. Me, personally, hell yeah. The guy is 14-1. The only person he ever lost to was Justin Gaethje. The dude can fight. He'll choke you out no matter what, arm or no arm. And people that say that he should have because of aesthetics and stuff, grow up. It's 2018, man. Nick Newell, either to the UFC or even Bellator. I mean, Coker, come on, you need some views, and this kid attracts attention. Even the PFL, I mean, Ray Steffo knows this guy. He used to freaking have this guy on WSOF. Why the PFL doesn't take him an invitation? I don't understand this shit, man.
Well, let's call a spade a spade. You said you had two things, and that was only one thing. So, anyway, as far as Nick Newell goes, he's been pretty clear that he wants to go to the UFC, so that's why the other organizations may have backed off. Plus, it just happened on Friday, and we actually had a debate on this. I don't know if it's been published or not. We're all in agreement that he should be in the UFC with the exception of myself, and I actually feel like he should have been in the UFC. I thought he proved he was UFC caliber back then. But then he retired, and he came back, and he fought, and it's just, I don't know. His last two fights, this is how I look at it, Marco. I thought he got waxed by Gaethje, all right? But Gaethje is a great fighter. And I also just don't think that beating Sonny Luque, who's 8-6, is what puts you into the UFC. I want to see one more fight out of him, and I just think that the UFC, from their end, they're looking for something like that. Maybe even one more. I don't know. For you to graduate from regional scene to the UFC like that, because it's those 2 years, like I say, even before Gaethje, if they would have moved him to the UFC, I would have been in. But then he lost to Gaethje, and I still didn't have too much of a problem with it. But it's him just retiring and saying he was done. It just seemed like the fighter was done. Now he comes back, he wins, and well, that wasn't the fight for me to get him in. But if they put him in, Blue said it best. We actually had a discussion on our Facebook chat. If they did it, I have no problem with it either. You know, it's just I always think of how the UFC's thinking of these things. And for some reason, I don't know if they're thinking that this is the fight that did it.
I think there's other factors involved because his record, I think, is good enough.
It's solid
to get him in there.
Yeah.
I think he deserves it. Do I want to see him in there? I mean, it'd be nice to see him accomplish that, but I don't know what it does. I don't see any title aspirations or anything like that. We see with CM Punk, the UFC's willing to put in. If the story is right, they'll make their exceptions, but they haven't yet, and they didn't before. So I think there's something else there.
This division probably has about 80 to 100 fighters, and he's definitely among the top 80 or 100 lightweights, or at least his record has proven that. He's beaten enough fighters for us to think, hey, you should be on that stage to continue proving whether you can climb up or not. But people that are jumping the gun and saying he's top 20, I disagree with that. I would say he's somewhere between 30 and 50. And honestly, look at one day, really take at the look at the rankings past the UFC. I think the UFC goes 15 deep. So do we, with 3 on honorable mention. Keep going past that and look at all the killers that are there that have proven themselves against other UFC talent, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Good stuff, Marco. We got to move on. Thanks for the call. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. We're taking this break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about we'll be talking to Max Griffin, who's coming off a huge win in Orlando, UFC Fight Night. UFC on Fox 28 versus Mike Perry. Stay close, and we'll be right back.
Let's see. Up, up, down, down, left, right, B-A, start. You told me that code would get rid of them. Yeah, well, they're still here. Okay, but now they know I tried to kill them. Hold on, Mom. Here are George and Goes.
The ACC now has a 24/7 home on SiriusXM. Hear from hosts Mark Packer, Chris Spatola, and more on SiriusXM ACC Radio, which is channel 371, and on the SiriusXM app. All right, our first guest of the day, his name is Max Griffin. He's coming off a big win, biggest of his career, where he defeated Mike Perry at UFC on Fox 28, headlined by Jeremy Stevens and Josh Emmett. Takes him to 14-4 overall, 2-2 in the UFC. Max joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, Max? How you doing?
Oh, what's cracking, guys? How's it going?
What's cracking is you. You're cracking skulls, man. You put on a great show that night, man. That was kudos. That was a great game plan, execution, and you were a road team, you know, because that was his hometown.
For sure. Well, thank you, man. It was great to go out there and beat them up like that at home.
The media doubted you. The fans doubted you. The odds makers doubted you. How good does it feel to be able to, you know, give them the finger in your face type thing?
In your face. No, that's kind of how it is, and I think it's going to keep being like that. I feel like they don't believe after this fight. You know, they're kind of. A lot of people are trying to make it seem like Perry had a bad night or whatnot, and I just, you know, my game plan was to not let him do any of his strength.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we did, and we, you know, showed it on stage.
See, if you had beaten him with an early KO, I think more people would be saying that. But you really have to be a fool, I think, to say that Perry had an off night, because you spread out the execution of the game plan, you know, over time, you know what I mean, and showed the dominance. So I think somebody have to be really, really biased or just a hater at that point to not give you your credit. You know what I mean? It was just your night, and you proved it. You proved your skill set was better than him. Your game plan and the execution of the game plan was better than his.
No, thank you. It was like I said, it was good to go out there, especially with all the doubt. You know, it's like, why are they setting me up with him? You know, I had my last loss. It was a fight of the night, you know. And, you know, I didn't know about a lot of his interviews. I think something might be kind of wrong with them. All his interviews were back and forth, you know. I'm a scrub, and I can't hit. And then the next interview is, you know, how I got a good chin, I'm going to come forward. A lot of it was just, you know, backwards, so I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah, you know, we do these staff picks, and this is what I'm trying to do here, Max, is I think there's a culture in our sport where people like to, I guess, I like to take it head on, right? I like to just say, Max, I admit it, I took Perry, you know what I mean? And because I feel like in other sports, that happens every week, you know what I mean? It's just that the team has the ability to right the ship the following week. In football, the following day in baseball, and in 2 or 3 days in basketball. In MMA, it's taken a little bit more personal. I like to take it head on, but I want to give credit to Matt Erickson, our assistant editor. He was the only one that took you. The rest of us were on Perry. So even just starting at MMA Junkie, man, a lot of us had to eat some crow, you know what I mean? But I think it's healthy, and I think it's healthy for the athletes to also see it that way, not take it so personal, and we can all just kind of grow together.
Yeah, I'm not taking that personal at all, you know. Only thing I do take personal is a bunch of his trolls, man. He got to have probably the worst trolls ever. But, you know, now they're eating him alive over everything he's doing.
Yeah, so, a lot of stuff going on. Finally. Well, I'll tell you what, your stock has definitely gone up. And so I guess, have you had time to, like, think about what you want to do next? Who would you like to fight next? Where you would like to fight?
You know, I told the media I do want to fight at the Golden One Center one day. I didn't want to headline, do something big out here. This is from Sacramento. But before that, before I'm big time like that, you know, I want to fight anywhere they want. But I want to get my contract. That was the last fight of my contract. So now we're just trying to renegotiate, you know, get paid. Because I want to start coming after these guys. You know, I do. And I think the win over Perry like that was, like you said, better than the KO.
Yeah.
You know, it showed a lot. I could take a punch. You know, he landed a couple. But But yeah, I just showed so much, so I'm ready to really beat anyone that want to fight someone in the top 15 or whatever they think, whatever they want. And I just want to climb my way up. This is just the beginning for me.
Did they offer you a contract before the fight?
We did not extend, but we were talking about it, and then after we mentioned it, and they're like, yeah, So now it's just getting everything put together, numbers, all that.
Essentially, you rolled the dice on yourself, and now you feel like your price is higher.
Yeah, I did roll the dice, I had to. I quit my job in January, to be full-time, so I went double all in,
I love it.
And, I did know it was my last fight. I mean, that's ballsy,
Right.
I had to make it happen, man.
You did. And
you win big.
You took out a big name. You took it out on his home court or whatever. I keep calling it a road game, home court, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. And you guys talked it up. That was good because there was a bigger spotlight on the fight. You know what I'm saying? So, therefore, I believe your number did go up. That was a ballsy move to do it, but, shit, what fighter doesn't believe he's going to win a fight going in? You know what I mean? The rest of us were wrong, but you were right. Yeah, no, you have to know. You have to know you're going to win, I mean, obviously, both people can't win, but you at least have to know it. I knew it. I knew and exactly how I said it was going to happen. I didn't know he was, I didn't know it was going to go that well. Because usually you have a game plan, you get hit, something happens. But I was just able to stay calm and composed, and he did exactly. I was supposed to be the matador. He was the bull. I mean, even my shirt, my fight shirt had a bull on it, with knives in it or whatever. So first punch, he was bleeding. So it kind of worked out, man. It was like a dream come true, man. Little fairy tale story. It was good. We talked to Curtis Blades yesterday, and it's public, so I'll put it out there. He basically didn't have much of criteria, much demands in his free agency. He just wanted to get paid. Is it as simple as that for you, Max, or is there anything else you're asking for during this free agency period from the UFC?
I just want to get paid. I know, some other guys are getting paid good money. I just don't want to have the basic contract. I fight a 2-2 record, in the UFC. I fought Kobe Covington on like a month's notice. He's one of the best. No excuses there. But went out and beat Eric Montano, Ultimate Fighter winner. Knocked him out in under a minute. Went to a fight of the night, close decision in Brazil. Against a guy that had a 6-fight win streak, and then I go and just whoop on my Terry. So I think I should be paid, I thought, I think I could compete, and I know I could beat these top guys. Know it.
All right. Max Griffin, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He's coming off a win over Mike Perry at UFC on Fox 28 in Orlando, Florida. He's 14-4 overall, 2-2 in the UFC, currently a free agent, looking to sign up with the Ultimate Fighting Championship again. Of his 14 wins, 7 have come from KOs, 2 by submission. All right, let me turn it over to Goes here. He's got a question or two for you. Goes, what do you have for Max Griffin?
Max, going forward, how does that process work out? Does the UFC give you their offer first, or do you guys tell them this is what we want to get paid?
I think we're going to be offensive. It's easier to come down than to come up, right? Any kind of deal. So I think we're going to go first, and then either goes down from there or we get it,
Because it's about...
rather than starting low and trying to, climb up.
Yeah. Because it's about getting paid, are you also open to other offers that other organizations may give you? If that price is higher, could you maybe possibly jump ship?
I don't think so. It's not. I mean, it's about money, but it's not all about money. I want to be a UFC champion. I don't want to be anywhere else.
Can you talk?
I mean, I would, but go ahead.
Can you talk a little bit about being a full-time fighter now and the differences before in your training and what it would do to you mentally just having to do both?
I didn't really realize how much. I mean, I've been working, since I was 16, So I've been working for 15, 16 years, 40-hour weeks, train in the morning, went to work, sometimes trained at lunch, and then trained afterwards. So to be able to wake up when I need to. I'd say the biggest thing is my recovery. I had to switch and, replace a lot of times. Like, man, I could do jiu-jitsu tonight, or I could get a massage. So now it's on my calendar, it's on my Outlook calendar, and I have it all. Boom, 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 massage, nap, cryo, eat. It's all structured, so I'm not missing anything. And then even going to the fight, this last fight, it was like slow motion. It was so slow. Usually fights are so stressful. If you can imagine being in there and people yelling, the lights, someone's trying to kill you in front of you.
Yeah.
And to go in there and have it be calm and like, what's calm as it is right now for me. Being in there, I seen all this stuff coming. It was so slow. I mean, it was perfect. So I think that attributed to my fight is being full-time, just focusing on fighting. That's it. And I think it's showing. I know it's showing. And it's going to continue. I've only been full-time for about a month and a half. 2 months now.
That's awesome.
I can't wait 6 months, a year. It's going to be ugly.
Max Griffin, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. All right, Max, I want to ask you a question. Your team is growing. It's been on the map for a few years now. In fact, after we hang up the phone with you, we're going to talk to a teammate of yours, Aspen Ladd. So here's what I wanted to ask you. Because you guys are, I guess, a younger team that's starting to have some success, are you kind of like one of the leaders there? And a lot of times when somebody comes to a more established gym, a gym that's had longer tenure, they're able to say, like a Habib Nurmagomedov, who's been with AKA for about 4 or 5 years, he can say that a guy like Cain Velasquez kind of showed me the way or gave me some advice. And with your team kind of being a little bit younger, there really, I guess, wasn't any of that. Or was there? Or am I wrong? How does your team function in regards to that? All learning at the same time, all succeeding at the same time?
Loaded question. It's like a loaded big potato right there.
Yeah,
okay.
Sorry. In 27 parts. Please answer this.
Let's think about this. So, my team is interesting. So, I'm originally, MMA Gold is my fight team. My dojo is Marinova's Kickboxing in Roseville, which is down the road.
Mm-hmm.
This is my home gym. My sensei is Dave Man Marinova. So, we do some of the striking. World champion. So the original story, Uriah used to go here. Long time ago. Uriah used to be coached by my coach. He went, after a while, he got Master Tong and these guys and opened Alpha Male. So we have an interesting connection with Alpha Male. It's cool. We fight them regionally. We have to do what we got to do. So MMA Gold, which is like the team as a whole. Right, we got Aspen Ladd. She's coming up the ranks. My boy Anthony Hernandez, which started with me when he was 15, he just won the LFA title. So the fact that we're getting this success, branching out, we got a lot of good coaches. It feels good to be coming together. I'm pumping up my guys. I'm giving them energy. Like, oh shit, you could do it.
Right.
Not saying everyone's not grinding all the time, but to have the success we have, it's such a small scale. Like I said, Aspen's doing the damn thing, 5-6-7-0, about to fight Leslie Smith. Anthony's winning the LFA title. He's going to be signed soon. Me is beating Mike Perry. Like, I know we're not a big team, but we don't need to be. We got these connections, and, we're making it happen. I'm blessed to be able to be one of the leaders. See me doing it.
Right.
And it's motivating. And,
that is pretty cool.
Going, blowing up. Bring our people up, and it's gonna be good, man. I'm telling you, it's we're coming.
Can one day you guys rival Team Alpha Male, and how long do you think it'll be before you get there?
We've been right, or you mean in general as a whole? Maybe one day. But we might be doing some cross-training and stuff. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. We've been rivals, for so years. Like on the local scene, right?
Right.
Like, I fought David Mitchell before he was like their dude. Cheeto Andrews. I fought these guys. They've been throwing their guys at me for years, and I beat all of them on the local. So we've always been a little local rival, but we're cool. You know, it's all it's business. You know, who's the best? But it's gonna take some time.
Yeah.
It's gonna take some time. You know, changing the guard may be about 5 years. But we're a young team. I've been around for what 15 years.
Right.
You know.
Mhm.
So 10, 15 years. We've only been for a few. But like I said, it's not a battle. Because we see each other at the local fights. We fight each other every couple weeks at a local show. So there's love there. You know, Josh Amos, my homie. We got a lot of friends over there. And, you know.
No, I dig it. I dig it, man. I've been a casual observer for the last 5, 7 years. If I'm not mistaken, too, I think Feely may have been a part of your team at one point, and then now he's with them. So I always wondered if it was like if it was an FU type thing, or if it's, you know, it's cool. Things just happen. It's business, like kind of like how you're describing it.
Yeah, because, I mean, they're the best around here. So you know, like, I've had to fight their guys. I've had all their guys pack local shows, 2,000 people, and I'm the main event against their best guy.
Yeah.
So there's always been a rivalry where they want me to lose, right? But now it's like, we're not going to fight anymore. You know what I mean? We're not going to fight anymore. Why beef? Why? So maybe it's more drama on, like, the lower levels.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, the pro side of it, I don't see there being a problem, honestly. You know, I know you're right. I know these guys. So there's, you know, I said this love.
I want to wish you
a lot
good.
of the guys went over there. You know, crazy.
Yeah, no, thanks for opening up about that. So listen, I want to wish you good luck in this free agency period. A lot of fighters, a lot of athletes consider it a stressful time, but I think it can be one of the funnest times. You actually get to see what your value is, and maybe other organizations will come after you. Maybe they won't. I don't know. Either way, you set yourself up nicely by winning versus Mike Perry. You gambled on yourself, and hopefully it pays off for you. It's been fun talking to you here on the show again. So congrats on the win, and thanks for the time.
Thank you so much.
All right.
It was a pleasure.
All right. Take care, Max. We'll see you.
Thank you. Yep. Great.
That's Max Griffin, folks. Give him a follow on Twitter. Let him know you heard him on the @MMAjunkie Radio Show. His Twitter handle is Max Payne MMA. All right, folks. We're going to take this break. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. Stay close, and we'll be right back.
Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you.
The Jim Rome Show is now on SiriusXM weekdays at noon Eastern. Catch The Jungle and the rest of the CBS Sports Network on channel 201 and on the SiriusXM app. That same SiriusXM app houses the MMA Junkie Radio Show, commercial-free and in HD quality. That bad boy gets loaded up quick style right after the shows, so there's shouldn't be any complaints out there regarding that. Shout out to Danny Okers on that one. Okers. Popping off tomorrow, right, Danny?
That's right. Tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific.
Have we gathered $100 for this gentleman to tweak the show?
It even got bumped up to 150.
He bumped it up?
No, we did. If he uses the name, what was it, Doofus McDingus or something like that?
There was a better title that we came up with yesterday, though. That I would almost be willing to actually change.
So oh yeah, Danny said he's got to consult the other two, and we told him no, that's not fun.
No, I can't do that.
Yeah, the money's there if he just does it.
Yeah, next thing you know, they'll all want contracts to do these wild stunts, benefits, retirement. No, it's one time, get in there, be a jackass, we all have a good laugh, and then that's it. We go our separate ways.
Well,
it's too planned out now.
Yeah.
Now we'll have to tweak it. Make it 90 now. Punish them for $10. We're trying to be too official, too corporate on us.
What's the worst that's gonna happen? Those two weirdos are just gonna look at you weird. Who cares?
All right, so that was Max Griffin, folks. And shout out to Dave from the MMA Gold Team for setting that up. So that MMA Gold Team also is from Sacramento. It's just the team that rarely gets talked about. But now, a team that just used to be amateur or regional, look at that. They have some success in the Ultimate Fighting Championship slowly. You know what I mean? It takes a while, man. Like Rodney, our listener, he was telling us that gym that Alex Hernandez is from in San Antonio, so they have that same type of culture, the belief, you know. What it takes is one of the athletes to go out there and win, and then here comes the next one, and then all of a sudden, you know, if they have...
Millennial was kind of like that back in...
out of Rancho Cucamonga? Yeah. It can also quickly go away as well, so it's up to the coaching staff to keep it together, and maybe they can all grow together, and it does take some success, but it can happen. All right, folks, that's 1 hour down and 1 hour to go. Like I mentioned earlier, we have Aspen Ladd coming up next, and then after that, we will talk to Mike Jackson. Stay close. It's the MMA Junkie Radio Show on SiriusXM, Rush 93.
Might as well do the promo now.
You got kids. You got a backseat. You Grand Cherokee.
The all-new Wrangler.
Something like that. What the hell is this song?
I don't know. All right. We are back. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. We just hung up the phone with Max Griffin. He's in good spirits despite the fact that right now, technically, he's out of contract. He's a free agent, but I got a feeling that as long as he doesn't add too many zeros, if they already wanted to extend, and then he goes out there and beats Mike Perry, and I think he'll be happy with the contract, and the UFC will be happy with keeping him. So, yeah, it was really, really nice to catch up with him. All right, Danny, is our next guest ready to go?
She is.
Awesome. All right, she's from the same team, MMA Gold, out in Sacramento. She is 6-0 overall, and she's going to be fighting Leslie Smith at UFC Fight Night 128 on April 21. 1-0 in the UFC. She joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. Aspen Ladd, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. How about you guys?
Great. Thank you for asking. Aspen, I wanted to ask you, do you root for the ladies that beat you so that they do better and it makes you look better? Like, a lot of fighters do that. Others hope they lose even more. How do you treat that?
No. After somebody fights me, it's all the best of them. I've never looked at it as, well, I hope life sucks for you. No, go on, do great things.
Well, no, I didn't mean it like that.
I meant the other way around.
Yeah, no, I just because sometimes there's a big build-up in a fight, and then the opponents wind up not liking each other despite the result. But what I like is if you look at your record, Lena Landsberg, Sijara Eubanks, Amanda Cooper, two fighters that stand out for me. That your resume already looks great. 6-0, one hell of a start. You fought at Invicta, which is where the best ladies were fighting, and and UFC as well. So and then you got finishes too, 4 by KO. But those names that you're beating, they're also doing well for themselves.
No, it's even better, and it makes your career and your record look better.
Mm-hmm.
As far as being friendly with an opponent, I can't really bring myself to do that before, during, or after.
Mm-hmm.
But I hope they go on to succeed after we fight, whether I like them or not.
You're fighting Leslie Smith. Haven't you been getting DMs from her to join to sign something, to join a union? Has there been any conversation there on at all? You two are going to be fighting, but at the same time, she's very, very active out there and trying to get all the fighters to join her movement.
I did get one of those actually, but honestly, it's just a little bit strange right now. So anything to do with the opponent, I don't really pay attention to before the fight. It doesn't matter what it is.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, just since I touched on the topic, is that something that interests you? Union talk, association talk, or do you like the way the sport is right now because you are all kind of on your own, individuals?
We are, and I'm so new to the sport that I really haven't delved too far into it yet. We'll see as the years go on and how my views change and progress. But right now, I'm just content with what I'm doing.
You have this fight coming up, so you're in camp right now. It's coming up here in about 5 weeks. How much do you shut down the rest of your life? Like, do the shows on your TiVo start to pile up? Do you just do less of the things that you enjoy and only focus on camp, or are you able to balance the two?
It's not that much of a transition, honestly, because I'm never out of the gym and I never stop training. It is my life. So it's basically just more of the same. It's what I'm used to. For me, what I do to unwind and just be normal is getting outside, and which more exercising, if people consider crazy, but that's what I do.
Like what?
But no,
are you a hiker or something?
Big time hiker, yeah.
Oh boy.
You think that's
but
crazy?
It's not a transition of any kind.
Yeah, there's nothing crazy about hiking except she's in NorCal, and the first thing I'm thinking about is snakes.
Oh.
You encounter snakes on your hikes?
During the summer, yes, all the time.
What kind of snakes? They rattling?
Just to be wary of it. You'll see rattlesnakes, yeah, especially when you get up into more like the high desert area or any kind of like lake bed area. But mostly it's just harmless little guys.
What about bears and, like Go said, cats of any sorts? Mountain lions or whatever.
I see bears every now and then. And the cougars, I know they're watching you, but you don't really see them.
What?
Like, you'll see evidence of those guys, that they're very wary of people.
And you're not in any way tripping over this? Like, you're still an avid hiker, no problem, bring on the next hike? I mean, that alone, what you told me, probably will prevent me from ever joining your group hiking.
I would just put a big X on the map, and
Yeah.
I'll never visit that area ever again.
Exactly.
I think when you grow up with it and around it, you're just very used to certain things. And it's not something to be afraid of, it's just something to be cautious of and very wary when you go out.
That was Aspen's nice way of saying, you guys are a bunch of sissies.
Kind of, right?
Yeah. I'll take it. I'll take that one. It could have been a lot worse.
I watched a YouTube video, and I would suggest that everybody watch it, but it tells you exactly what to do if you're attacked, and then it gives you like 25 different animals or insects.
Really?
And what you should do exactly to defend yourself. But the one that I really didn't like was the bear. The only defense is to pretend you're dead. That's dumb.
I couldn't do that.
Got to be a better defense than that.
But the mountain lion, I saw something on the mountain lion, and the mountain lion is very petrified of you. And so what you're supposed to do is basically stand big, stand firm, and they should retreat. It'll just be that alpha moment where then they go, okay, that's it, and then they go about their business. A coyote, you're supposed to stand big, and yell go, and then they'll just dart out.
Go?
Go really loud. Go or no or something that ends in O. Flo Joe, I don't know. But yeah, that's the way it works. I've been seeing a little bit of that as well. We live in an area in Vegas, Aspen. It's called Mountain's Edge, and so there's been a little bit of talk of coyotes and stuff like that. It's freaking me out because I like to walk my dog, and I have a bad knee, so I'm not gonna outrun any animal out there, including the turtle.
Yeah, coyotes are a big thing up here too. My sisters will steal people's little pets. But it's not something, cause I got good-sized dogs and they're with me all the time. That's something else that's like an added security when I'm out and about.
How long are your hikes?
It just depends on... Huh?
How long are your hikes? And I'm sorry to interrupt.
What was that?
How long are your hikes?
Oh, that's fine. Monday through Friday, it's between 6 and 10 miles, and on the weekends, it's always 10 plus.
Jesus. Wow. On top of your training, you're doing all that?
Yes.
Monday through Friday, like it's automatic. Like so today, you will hike 6 to 10 miles.
As soon as I get off the phone with you, yes.
Holy crap.
Same trails every time, or are they different?
It's different.
Yeah.
And what kind of dogs do you have?
Depending on the day. I have a couple of Siberian Huskies.
Ooh, those are cool.
Babies, absolutely fun.
Those are cool.
Oh, yeah. Exercise freaks, too.
How many do you have?
I have 2.
Nice.
One is almost 12, and the other is 7. And, yeah, they do everything with me.
What are their names?
Granite and Kaya.
That sounds like hikers.
Yeah. Think about right now, her fandom is growing because she hit check marks. A lot of people love to hike, and they're like, oh, right away, I'm a fan. And how about the fact that she's an avid hiker like that, and she's a dog lover? Without even talking about the Leslie Smith fight, her fan base
a lot of people are gravitating to her.
Is growing. Yeah, I'm becoming even more of a fan. And this is Aspen Ladd. We're talking about UFC bantamweight, 6-0 overall, fighting Leslie Smith in Atlantic City at UFC Fight Night 128. All right, goes. What do you have for Aspen?
And you think about it, even if there is somebody that doesn't like her, they're just going to tell her to take a hike, which is what she wants to do anyway. So she can't lose.
This is true.
Aspen, when you run into people from school, people that you went to high school with, junior high, and you tell them what you do, what is their reaction to that? Do they look at it and go, huh, okay, I could see that. Aspen was kind of like that in high school? Because I know you talked about how early it is in your career, but you've actually been doing it for quite a bit now, especially when you add in all the training before. So I was curious what their reaction is to all this.
Yeah, so I started training when I was almost 16, and I started fighting when I turned 18. As far as people that knew me before I got into the sport, honestly, anybody that knew me well wasn't that surprised. It's, and my family especially, not that surprised, just took them a second and then became very supportive. So it's never been oh my God, she's doing this kind of thing. If somebody doesn't know me and I meet them, and obviously we're not just saying, hey, I'm an MMA fighter, and then they eventually find out, then they'll be a bit surprised. But as far as people from the past knowing, no.
Is it difficult to not think ahead of yourself too far? Because it is early in the year, and you do have your opponent. We've always known you to be very focused on your opponent. But you have so much promise, and we've actually seen you fight in the amateur days, so we've been talking you up, and a lot of people have been talking about your skills. Is it difficult to not kind of look a little bit past Leslie Smith, just into the future, what could the rest of 2018 could hold?
Oh, honestly, that's a hard one for me because from my very first Ami fight all the way to now, once I have a fight book, there's nothing exists beyond it. Every single day, no matter what I'm doing, in the back of my mind, that's there. So I really can't look past it. I got to get there, get through it, and then the next step comes.
Aspen, I want to ask you about your amateur career and if that's where it comes from. But judging by your previous answer, like you said with your friends, it sounds like this is an attitude that, like you said, many haven't been surprised in. So tell me, when you are dialed in, when you do have the opponent, you have Leslie Smith in front of you, who is going about the game planning? And as far as that goes, is that more of a camp thing or is that more of an Aspen Ladd personal thing?
More of a camp thing, and as I said before, I don't really pay too much attention to the opponent leading up. I know her tendencies, what she likes to do a lot, but the people that are doing all the planning and orchestrating my training are my coaches: Jim West, Mike Guy, Jake, my Muay Thai coach, and my strength and conditioning coach, Doug Casebeer. So they know who the opponent is, they know what's necessary to win the fight, and then they construct what I need to do on a daily basis leading up to it.
All right.
So those are people doing the game planning.
All right, less tactical question, but in my opinion, a more important question. What are we walking out to? Because I can't recall the exact track. Perhaps you can help me. But one of your Invicta fights, I particularly enjoyed your walkout song.
Thank you. I've had the same walkout song since my very last amateur fight. It's Promontory from Last of the Mohicans soundtrack.
That's it. Okay. I love that, by the way. I love it. It gets me pumped up. And I'm not even getting in there. I can't imagine what it does for you. But that's an awesome choice, Aspen.
Oh, yeah. Every time I hear it, I'm ready to go.
You chose it, or did someone give that to you? Like, suggest it?
No, I chose it.
Very cool.
I used to switch songs up until, my last Ami fight, and then I just heard that one day. I found an old CD, and I played it. And I knew that was the one, period. So now it's mine.
There you go. Aspen Ladd, our guest here on MMAjunkie Radio. She'll be fighting at UFC Fight Night 128, and that takes place on April 21st. Her opponent that night will be Leslie Smith. Aspen Ladd, 6-0 overall with 4 KO finishes and 1 submission. So 5 of the fights have been finishes. I'm really digging that. And Aspen, another thing here before we let you go, I noticed on your Twitter handle a retweet that came from your end, and it talked about some of the fighters that are under 24 and highlighted them. Paige and Sage get a lot of love, and as of late, it seems like Mackenzie and Sean have been getting a lot of love. Do you even want to be included on that list? Like, it seems like a lot of pressure comes, and it seems like a lot of fans just turn on the younger fighters when the popularity and the stardom comes too quickly. That's what I've noticed. So do you like being just quiet behind the scenes and just let those wins mount up, let your resume pad itself, and then maybe maybe now you can be talked about, I guess, like as a serious contender versus more of the promise that's coming from some of these younger fighters. And it's not like they're seeking it out. It's just almost been like given to them.
It really has in some of them, but that's mostly because they had a huge fan base coming into the sport already, or they do a particular thing, I know it's Trigger-Sean and all that, but Mackenzie Dern, her jiu-jitsu base. And then the other two are like Ken and Barbie, basically. I'm not saying they don't have skills, they definitely do, but I'm definitely not in that group of, I never had an established fan base, I haven't done anything, I'm not huge in the weed business like the other guy. But as far as just quietly working my way up and continuing to succeed, I think that's all I need. Because the better you do, the more devastatingly you win. The more you're going to rise, the more fans you're going to garner.
Right.
It just all leads to the same spot.
And the weeds all around you, too. You're a NorCaler, so I guess you could play up to that fan base if that was your thing. I don't know if you're recreational or not, or if that's a private matter. But them NorCalers, we have a lot of listeners up there, and it's automatic, man, for our listeners, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm running to the list now. Yeah, you're right.
Exactly. Yeah, so I don't know if you want to comment on that.
I'm kind of just your basic prudish athlete. I don't smoke and I don't drink. But every single person in my life and that I know is a hardcore weed lover. So, and everybody up here grows it for the most part. If there's some kind of ranch, there's weed on it.
Ironically, don't you have a green thumb yourself, Aspen? While we're on the topic, as far as growing plants, not those plants, but is that correct?
Yeah, my team likes to tease me all the time. I should be the grower. Yeah, I love gardening. Gardening and hiking, that's what I do.
That's awesome.
One last question, and I'll probably, I'm not going to bug you with this, but maybe every couple fights I'm going to check in, just because fighters change their mind. Trust me, it's happened a lot. I used to bug Rashad Evans with this a lot. But is 35 is home, and you've been very adamant about that. But with 25 opening up, could it ever be a card you play down the road, much like how Valentina and some of the other fighters have done? Like, is it something you're at least keeping open?
I've had that question before. I physically can't do it anymore.
Okay.
I would be deathbed if I tried to make it. I could lose probably about 20 pounds of muscle at this point.
Mm-hmm.
It'd just be a really miserable affair.
Okay. Well, you certainly don't need to go there right now because you're kicking ass at 135, and it's been fun covering your career, like Ghost said, all the way from the amateur ranks, calling your fights at Tough Enough, then seeing you succeed through Invicta, through the contract you won, and now in the UFC. That's incredible. It's really, really been cool to see from the sidelines. And we really enjoyed talking to you and catching up with you. So thank you very much for your time. Good luck with the rest of your camp. I hope you have a safe camp. You don't have to travel across the world to Poland this time, but it is Atlantic City, so safe travels on that journey. And good luck on April 21st versus Leslie Smith.
Thank you guys so much, and thank you for having me.
All right, take care, Aspen. Have a nice day. Bye-bye. Enjoy your hike. Take care.
Thanks.
Bye.
She says all the right things, doesn't she?
Yeah, she sure does. She's cool,
so
man.
mature.
Very, very cool. And only 23 years old. So follow her on Twitter, Aspen Ladd MMA, and a big shout out again to Dave from MMA Gold for lining up those two athletes. Her, Sajara and Amanda and now Lena, they're good fighters, man. Like, her resume is really, really starting to come together, and she keeps getting better and better. Mm-hmm. I think the fight in Poland was a good test for her, and she came through. That's not an easy fight. For one, it's not an easy fight to fight someone that's more experienced than you. Two, traveling across the globe. And from what we heard from a lot of the fighters that went to Poland, I mean, it wasn't like the smoothest of operations, just walking around town, and it hasn't, because they haven't really been to Poland much. It's not like when they go to Brazil, everybody's lined up. Hey, this is where you go, this is where you stay, this is what you do, this is what you say, or whatever. This one was a little bit different, and some of the fighters really, really had some difficult times out there. But like I say, that was a big, big win for her.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Leslie Smith will. You get past Leslie Smith, and all of a sudden you're in that little contender. It starts to become a contender talk. I've seen it happen with some of the other young ladies, and I could see her if she wins this fight. Now all of a sudden you may have to fight like a Sarah McMahon or somebody else that either puts you over, maybe is they're headed downward, you're headed upward, or another rising star that's also coming off a win.
Another thing about a Leslie Smith fight is not just the name, but she puts on exciting fights, win or lose. So if you're in a Leslie Smith fight, you have a higher chance, I think, of maybe getting a bonus, getting some more attention, aside from the name aspect and potential, ranking or standing aspect it could put her. So I'm excited for that fight.
Now, she said she has Siberian Huskies, right?
Yeah.
You think the Siberian Huskies are like, oh, fuck, how about a day off? Or do you think they're just like, fuck yeah, we got the greatest owner ever, another 6 miles?
Another 6 miles.
Really?
Me too.
You think so?
Gotta be.
So.
I don't know. I mean, I know that the dogs are supposed to be walked every day, and ours is very energetic, and he could probably do it. He's older now, but I like to watch him, because he comes back and he's gassed, dude. He's tired, you know what I mean? So, luckily, I think one of the ages was 7. I don't know what the other one is, but I bet you a day off would not be the end of it. If the Siberian Husky could talk,
probably not.
I bet you one day off would be like, fucking throw on Netflix, and the dog can just chill, watch Netflix, and hey, how about grab me a cappuccino from Starbucks on the way home?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna chill today. But But instead, it's like another 6 to 10 miles. That takes a while, dude. 6 to 10 miles
I would trade
to
off.
walk that or hike it. That's what's that? Like 3 hours?
It is, but look, dude. Our vet gave me one of the best pieces of advice ever with dogs. He just said, "Look,
They'll
if
let
he
you know.
didn't want to do it, he wouldn't go. Like you would have to drag him." So he goes, every time when you pull that leash, if he's right there going, it's because he wants to do it.
Well, I'll tell you
6
what.
to 10 miles.
I'm a little biased right now because I just recently I've been away from my dog with recovering from surgery, so I haven't been able to see the poor guy. He comes over to visit last weekend from my mom's been taking care of him. Well, of course, like my mom did with me, overfeeds the dog. Poor boy comes back all overweight. I mean, we got some work to do, buddy. Both me and you, we're going for walks. So right now, if I lived in Northern California, I'd be like, hey, Aspen, you got room for a pit bull boxer on these hikes? You need some, because that sounds like a good workout plan for my dog.
What if she goes
6 to 10 miles.
6 to 10 miles, 7 straight days, or you're not coming? You have to commit to it right now.
I have to commit to it too. I could use that personally. I'm sure anybody on camera can see that. So you know what? I would do it, George. I'll take it up on that.
That is quite a
take it up on that.
That's quite a test.
Even with my current schedule, I know, I would do it.
And what'd she say on the weekends? At least 10 miles, right?
At least 10, and during the weeks, I think it's 7, right?
Wow, how driven is she, man? I got to give it up for her. Let's take another. Or what?
I think it's weird that I thought maybe she just had certain trails that she does, but to do like a new trail, sometimes it's, I don't know, especially if you're a fighter, like you need to kind of be aware of where certain steps are and not falling off the trail. I don't know. That surprises me that she does different ones.
Northern California is so big, they probably have more uninhabited land than the size of some states. So there's probably like part of the trails that she maybe branches off. I don't think every day is like a brand new 6 to 8 miles. But I know when I've been out there, I've driven for hours and hours. I'm like, wow. I mean, there really is a lot out here.
Yeah.
All right. Let's take this break. When we come back, we will do our daily debate. We got to squeeze that in, as well as we got Mike Jackson coming up. We'll be talking to him as well. See what he thinks. Yeah, everybody's saying, how about Mike Jackson? How about Mike Jackson? Is he in? How in is he? Because this fight is now just over 2 months out. So is he healthy? Has he been training? Does he want it? I think he does, but we'll get those answers when we come back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM, Rush 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
SiriusXM wants to send you to the first ever Extra Innings Festival in Tempe, Arizona. The 3-day festival will feature performances by Chris Stapleton, Queens of the Stone Age, Counting Crows, and more. Plus, there will be appearances by your favorite baseball players. Our grand prize winner will get a trip or two to Arizona and 3 VIP passes. And 3-day VIP passes. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/inningsfestival. Do that before March 12th. No additional purchases necessary. March 12th already happened. So, to those that won, enjoy your time at the Extra Innings Festival. Way to go, Danny Elkers.
I sent you 4 reads. I didn't think you were going to get to all of them. I just guessed you would go for the shorter ones.
I know I have been. I've been cherry picking those lately. But I figured, all right, let's tackle this monster here.
I was like, he's not going to read it. It's fine.
Yeah. All right. We got to talk to Mike Jackson and see from his viewpoint. Everybody's anointing him as the opponent for CM Punk. Does he want that? I mean, he's retweeting out there that he wants it. Or, I mean, implying that he's not against it. But I figured let's get it straight from the horse's mouth. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. How you doing, bud? Good to have you back on the show.
I appreciate it, but instead of the horse's mouth, this is coming from the Black Panther's mouth.
I like it. So, Mike Jackson, tell us the truth. You like that? Are you the guy? Are you in if they ask you to?
Of course. I've been saying this for since day one that it should have been me. As far as fights that make sense, it should have been me from the get go. Just as far as like styles and matchups. Look, Mickey Gall, he's a great guy. I put him over, and now he's building up his superstar resume. He's building up his little superstar resume. He's the future of the sport. But as far as this oddity of a fight, it only made sense to put me in there. And so the UFC couldn't have written a better storyline. Mm-hmm. They bring in CM Punk. They bring in me to fight Gall. Punk is kind of like waiting in the shadows.
Right.
I go over here, put over Mickey Gall. He goes out there, smashes Punk, right?
Uh-huh.
But he smashed him in a way that left the door open for him to return. And I told people from the beginning when I was doing these interviews, and I was like, look, Mickey Gall is going to go in there and he's going to submit him. I knew about Mickey Gall prior to the fight. He's a good kid. He's good. He's a legit brown belt under the Miller brothers. And it made no sense to put a legit brown belt in there with like a blue belt. Because it wasn't going to be a striking match. It was going to be basically a jiu-jitsu match. And you put a brown belt against a blue belt, like a legit brown belt, against a questionable blue belt at best. We knew it was going to happen, But for me, I'm not going in there this is not going to be a jiu-jitsu match. It's not going to be an MMA fight. It's just going to be me getting Phil Brooks some CTE.
All right. And will you be putting him over, or will he be putting you over?
Oh, this is a shoot fight. I'm going in there and I'm taking it all. And I'm not putting anybody over anymore. Look, I had my one. And now I'm going to claim the title. So
Mike Jackson, the truth, joining us here on MMA Junkie Radio. He fights, he writes, he does it all. And he's looking to fight. So your dance card is open on June 9th, right, in Chicago.
Let me get you real quick. I know a lot of people love to talk about the writing aspect of it, and I appreciate that because I feel I'm a skilled writer. But for me, my bread and butter is the photos, is the photojournalist. Like I put out some of the best photos out there, not named by Esther Lynn. I feel that she's the GOAT. But, for me, I feel like I put out some high-quality products. I need to get these guys talking about the photos instead of the writing.
I know. I was trying to rhyme. He fights, he writes. But I can add he's great under the bright lights. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Mike. Yeah, there we go. Man, you on top. I thought I was good. Yeah, you're nice. I dig it.
Thank you, sir. All right, Goes, what do you have for Mike Jackson?
Mike, we've seen so many videos and pictures of him and what he's done in between fights with the training and all that. How much do you think he could have improved in this short period of time?
I just look. Here's the thing, man, and where I don't think a lot of people factor in is that he's not like he's never been some phenomenal athlete. He's never been like a Rock or a John Cena type character. He's been one of these guys he's just a tough guy. That's really what it is. And then you factor in the mileage that the pro wrestling career put on his body. He's closing in on 40 years old. And another thing, which just people in general don't grasp, that striking is far harder to learn and master than jiu-jitsu. Period. Like these are facts. Like now, obviously, you have these anomalies, like let's say a BJ Penn, a prodigy type individual who can come here and just look at something and just immediately soak it up. Like you have those people, but he's not that guy, you know. And so I don't see him. I don't see him progressing and evolving as a fighter. In 2 years. But let's take the 2 years. He was injured. I don't know if he had surgery or not, but I do know he was injured. So he was injured. He wasn't in the gym training. And then he did. He's closing in on 40. You know, I know his body's weird. I know it. You know, I went and played basketball for the first time like a year or so on Sunday. And today's Tuesday. I woke up and I'm sore. You know, because my body's working muscles that I haven't been used to working in so long. And then the same thing for him. Like he's not. MMA training is going to be different from professional wrestling training. Not to say that they don't correlate with one another, but it's different, you know. And I just don't see him. I don't see him picking up the skills needed to defeat me come June 9th in Chicago at UFC 225.
Mike Jackson's got game on the blacktop and the hardwood as well.
little bit. Well, I don't do outdoors. My knees. I cherish my knees, but we stick to the hardwood.
Gotcha. Now, this fight, for just the topic, for a lot of fighters, can get personal because of the amount of money that CM Punk makes per fight. What about with you? Is any of this personal at all for you?
Well, as far as the fight itself, like the fighting aspect of it, my only quarrel with Phil is that he called me a can. You know, all of this, I would have just let this guy go on about. Excuse me. I would have let this guy go on about his business if he wouldn't have brought my name up. You know, and that's why I have a problem. You called me a can. Now look, I get that the majority of the people only know me from the Mickey Gall fight, and I get it. And look, I don't lose any sleep on it. You know, but he's aware of what I've done. Look, I come from boxing and kickboxing where I'm undefeated. All of my wins have come via knockout. And I'm not talking about just stopping people. I am face planting people. I am leaving them like they're on the mat for minutes at a time before they're being brought back up. You know what I'm saying? So for this guy who has never had a fight at all, not an amateur fight, not a smoker, I mean, at best, he's done some hard sparring. And from what I'm hearing, he's getting smacked around in his gym during hard sparring.
Oh, you got spies?
So, yeah. Look, I'm the truth. I don't need spies. People just come and offer me the words. I don't ask for it. Look, I don't care what he's doing, to be honest with you. But if people want to voluntarily give me information, then so be it, you know?
Right.
But again, like I said...
When did he call you a can, by the way?
He was promoting the Gall fight. And he was like, oh, Gall is only fought. He's fought nothing but cans. And, like, I was the only, like, well, it was like me and then the other guy he fought to get, you know, on the Dana White thing. And I'm like, yo, like, you've never had a fight. You know, and that's my issue with him. Outside of that, like, I don't have any, you know, I don't have any issues with him outside of calling me a can. You know, after the fight, I would love to sit and talk to him. Because for me, I enjoy different kinds of people. And I'm hit from what I understand, he's a different kind of cat, you know? And I would love to just pick his brain, not necessarily about fighting or wrestling, just about life. You know, we can go out and people who know me, they know I love to eat. You know, that's the main reason I no longer fight at 155 is because I care more about the food than some silly fight. You know? And then, like, I wouldn't say I'm killing myself, but again, I remember this one time for a fight, I think it was at like 165, and this just shows you my lack of self-discipline. And so I'm walking around the house, and you know, I'm probably about 67 the night before, and my mom's is in the kitchen, and she's cooking some spaghetti. And I always look at my mom like, yo, like, I got to fight. what's up? And she's looking at me like, well, I'm not fighting, so I'm eating spaghetti. You know, so I remember that night. Now, I didn't have my normal size serving, but I still ate some spaghetti because it was sitting there in my face. And I had to partake, you know? And
that's my weakness, too.
But,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
the plan is to eat well every day, and I just can't bring myself to do it.
You know? So we're going out here, you know, we gassing up the Truth Jet, and we're doing the Truth Food Tour in Chicago. I'm trying to give me some deep dish pizza, so hopefully if Phil, I know he doesn't drink and all that other stuff, but if he wants to take his boy out for the best Chicago deep dish in town, I'm with it.
Will he have to apologize for the can remark, though, before you guys can officially hang?
Oh, no. Me giving him CTE is probably all the apology I need.
All right. Dan Tom, our fight analyst, what you got for Mike Jackson?
Hey, Mike, you know, you did a bit of a breakdown there on CM Punk and did a good job reminding of people, you know, your kickboxing background. But since your last fight, since your kickboxing fights, what else has been going on with you, whether it be at, you know, MikeTheTruth.com or in the gym, as far as what's been new with you?
Well, as far as fighting, I did give some other poor soul CTE in a boxing match. Y'all can catch those photos and highlights on my social media at The Truth Jackson on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all the good stuff. But then outside of that, I've just been, you know, I've been traveling. This has been a great couple of years for me. I've been building up the business and building up the brand, the Mike the Truth Entertainment brand. I think like next week I'll be in Atlanta, shooting some shows. I was in Vegas not too long ago. I think I was in Dallas. You know, I'm all over the place, man. So for me, it's just been about building the brand, you know, because I've been telling people for quite a while, and I really don't think fighters get it, is that you have to have a fallback once you're done fighting. You know, you get a lot of these guys who come out and all they know is fighting. You know, for me, I've been a businessman first. I've been a businessman. Look, I've been hustling since I was like 9 years old. You know, where I'm selling pencils at school. I remember I was one of the first cats. I think the statute of limitations is up on this, but I was one of the first cats. But, you know, selling burned CDs back in middle school, you know. I've always been a hustler. Well, selling candy. I did home installs, you know. And now the biggest hustle for me is the photography. You know, I'm really good at it. Well, for me, I grew up, you know, shooting pictures, you know, just little portraits here and there. And then I feel my background in fighting gave me sort of an advantage. And it almost kind of, it's that skip the line effect. You know, some people have to work their way up and shoot and, you know, try to get better. But for me, I feel that because I'm a fighter, because I know the sport so well, it gave me an advantage as far as, like, seeing things that a traditional or regular photographer coming into the sport, they wouldn't see or they wouldn't notice. And so that's why you see, again, you guys, the MMA Junkie, you guys are always posting my LFA photos, because that's obviously the premier organization that I shoot for. But you guys are pushing my photos. I get all these other outlets. You know, I'm a published photographer as far as combat sports goes. You know, so for me, this is my hustle. This is the main thing, and you know, for me, this is my full-time gig. But I just woke up. It's like 12:30. I just woke up. You know,
the crack of noon.
I get to do what I want. You know what I'm saying? You know, so I'm living the life right now, and I'm having a great time, and I'm riding it. And then again, this is not even a fighting aspect of it. You know, I'm right now, as far as MMA goes, I'm only taking fights that make sense. You know, we have obviously the Phil Brooks fight. I know you guys ran a story a few months back when I was supposed to fight Chris Cyborg's little brother. That was a good fight for me. It was a good name and an LFA card. But then he backed out. He didn't want to work. You know, his first thing was like, I don't want to fight Mike because, well, he backed out the original fight because Chris was in the corner. It was that night that I think Clarissa Shields made her boxing debut or pro debut. And so Chris Cyborg was in her corner, and so he backed out the fight. He was like, I don't want to fight because my sister's not going to be there. And so you're like, what? Like, that makes no sense.
Right.
So we pushed the fight. That fight got pushed to another LFA event probably like 2 months down the line. And then he just backs out. He's like, nah. He wanted more money or something. And I was like, yo, you already agreed to the fight. Like, what do you say? You can't agree to the fight and then like you go see me like dead somebody, and then all of a sudden now you want more money. You should have saw me dead people before. I mean, the videos were there. You knew who I was, but yet you decided to back out after a most recent, starchy. Like, no, you're a little punk. So Chris Cyborg's little brother. I don't even know this guy's name. I just call him Chris Cyborg's little brother. He can go on somewhere, and again, if he wants to fight, for whatever price he agreed to originally, I'm with it. But other than that, I'm going out here providing some of the dopest photos because I'm in a whole nother tax bracket than these other cats that fight 2-3 times a year in the UFC. You know what I'm saying? So I'm doing what I got to do to survive.
Mike Jackson, so just so we're clear about this, has the UFC even reached out to you? Are they warm to the idea? Is anyone giving you a wink, like, we're going to get to you?
Well, the UFC officially hasn't reached out. For people to know, I'm close personal friends, with several guys in the top of the UFC, including one of the matchmakers, Mick Maynard. I've spoken to him about it, and he, without giving too much away, he gives me the wink, like, just be patient. We'll see what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest with you, it only makes sense. Like, even if I don't know these people, if I don't know a Mick Maynard or anybody like that, it only makes sense to have me in this fight.
I agree.
Why bring someone else in? And again, this is not so. Bring it back to the people who are all offended by this. You have people who are so upset now, not fighters, but you have fans. You have fans who are so upset at the notion of myself and Phil Brooks and a fight in the UFC, and we're like, yo, we're just here to fight. Like, why do you care? Like, if you don't want to watch the fight, then go to the bathroom. No one is forcing you to watch the fight. But by us fighting, this is going to generate money for the company. It's going to bring in new eyes. If you don't look, this dude made $500,000 against Mickey Gall. So if he made $500,000, and this is what I'm saying. Look, if he made $500,000, he obviously generated enough revenue,
right,
to counter that, right? But then, like, let's say hypothetically, they paid him $500,000 and he bombed, right? And he bombed, and they're just like, look, it wasn't worth the investment. But no, they're bringing him back. So obviously, if they paid him $500,000 the first time and they're bringing him back for a second time, he's generated enough revenue to even be talking about this. And so, in turn, we're here to make money. We're here to generate revenue. We're here to bring new people. Because if you don't think that Phil Brooks is going to bring more people from professional wrestling, you're foolish. And if you don't think, well, I don't know, I'm not bringing anybody. Everybody that watches me already watches UFC. But anyways, as far as entertaining fights go, and just not another Mickey Gall who's going to go out here and just choke him out in whatever time it was, we're going to have an entertainment fight, and the eyes are going to be on the UFC 225 pay-per-view, June 9th, from Chicago, Illinois.
Mike, can you even negotiate a fee at all?
Oh, for what? I don't need to. I'm not.
Well, you're a businessman. You're a hustler. You just said it. So, I mean, you are the most obvious dance partner. You know what I mean?
You're right. You're right by that. But here's the thing. This is a whole new avenue for me. So, if anything, I mean, as long as I'm not getting paid $1, like, this is all bag money here. This is all positive. I'm in the black. There's no need to negotiate. Because really, I really just want to hit this dude so bad for calling me a can. I was just so offended by that. We're in the offended culture, right? Everybody's offended by everything. Yeah. So I'm offended he called me a can. And so now I have to go and put him in his own safe space.
I hope it happens, man. I think now that he said he's on the card, I immediately thought of you, and I'm glad that you're down. Hopefully this fight happens for you, bro.
Appreciate it, man. Next time I'm going to come out, hang out with y'all. I think I'll be out there maybe like June or July, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Let us know. We'd love to have you here. I want to ask you one last thing on the way out. As far as photography goes, what is more music to your ears? You wake up and there's an email that says, hey, we'd love you to shoot the Final Four. It's like a big sporting event like that. Or, hey, Hawaiian Tropic is having their Miss Hawaiian Tropic contest. What gets you going more?
The Hawaiian Tropic
Me
contest.
too.
Oh, so people don't know what. So sidebar. When I'm not shooting fights, a lot of times I'm covering burlesque shows in Houston, and so I'm always around women or naked women or some sort. But to understand why I would pick that, if you look at the Miss Tropics, that's outside of just being beautiful women. They're not going to have the same amount of photographers there. Everybody's going to want to cover the Final Four, and you kind of get lost in the mix.
Right.
And if the beauty contest, now you're going to have a lot of people there, but I know how to put the true flair on the photos that's going to stand out a little bit more. So there's going to be more recognition at the Miss Hawaiian Tropic. Look, if they listening, hit me up. I'm a freelancer. I'm out there. Do it. Hey.
Of course they're listening, for sure. You'll see the emails. You'll get the emails pour in. Mike, we got to get going. Thanks for the time, as always. Hope you get that fight, my man. And if you do, we'd love to preview it once you're gone through your camp, all right?
Of course, man. Appreciate the love, y'all.
All right. Take care. All right. We'll see you. All right, folks. That is Mike the Truth Jackson. Follow him on Twitter at the Truth Jackson. We're going to take our last break. It's MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM. On SiriusXM Rush 93, and when we come back, we will have our daily debate. It's all queued up and ready to go. The question, just so you all know, is which purchase proved to be the most valuable, talent-wise, for the UFC? Pride FC, Strikeforce, or WEC? And while we do the commercial, I'm going to peek into the Facebook chat and see what you all thought. We'll be right back.
Our gorgeous George and Goes, and this is MMA Junkie Radio.
The Jim Rome Show is now on SiriusXM weekdays at noon Eastern. Catch the Jungle and the rest of the CBS Sports Network on channel 201 and the SiriusXM app. Alrighty then. Now it's time for the Daily Debate, brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio crew. That's us, Dan Tom, the fight analyst, Goes, our ace co-host, and me. I'm Gorgeous George, the host. All right, today's question for the Daily Debate is, this is a good one, guys. Which purchase proved to be the most valuable, talent-wise, for the UFC? Pride Fighting Championships, Strikeforce, or the WEC? Goes.
I'm going to eliminate Pride right off the bat. It brought over some great superstars, but it didn't really translate into the greatest of fights. The WEC and Strikeforce created divisions that still get used today and will continue to flourish in the UFC, right? The women's, and then we saw the WEC bring in the lighter classes. So it's between those two, and I'm going to go with Strikeforce because really you think about Ronda Rousey, Daniel Cormier, Tyron Woodley, Robbie Lawler, Luke Rockhold, the list goes on and on. These people have done a lot for the UFC, so my pick is Strikeforce.
How about you, Dan?
It's hard not to have a soft spot for Pride with the magistry that it brought and the memories that it brought. Of course, WEC has the lighter weight classes, something that's close to my heart. But I think if we're looking at it from value, whether it's name or numbers, you got to go with Strikeforce, I imagine. With the influx they brought over, you look at who became champions, the longevities of each guy's career throughout the divisions, women's divisions as well, like Goz said. I'll go Strikeforce as well.
You know, I'm going with Pride. Let me give you the results first. Strikeforce came in at 57%.
All right.
Pride came in at 20%, and WEC came in at 23%. Well, what I felt was, at the time, Pride arguably for many was the #1 organization, and the UFC was the #2. Whereas when the UFC scooped the other two up, by then they had already entrenched themselves as #1, and a lot of it had to do with the acquisition of many of the contracts and the fight footage that came over from Pride. So, you know, I'll just point to one fight, for example. A lot of people felt like the Pride fighters were just the better fighters. And then how about that fight in Anaheim, Shogun versus Forrest?
Oh, yeah.
You know, that helped put a lot of the fighters over from the UFC and also validated the Ultimate Fighter. You know what I mean? So I feel like the UFC benefited in many ways. They added a lot of superstars. They added a lot of headliners that still to this day are on these, you know, these cards that we talked about. But I also felt like it validated a lot of what the UFC was trying to do at that time. So I side a little bit with Pride. Not to say that what came over from Strikeforce wasn't amazing and still is amazing. A lot of them fighters have these belts that you talked about. And the WEC, the contribution with the lighter weight classes. I know John Morgan, when he's here, he'd fight to the death on that one. He loved WEC, and who didn't? Because they had amazing fights. And this, what the fun thing about this question is, I don't think there is a wrong answer, but that's just my opinion.
But their #1 fighter never fought in the UFC.
I know, that one hurts.
That one hurts.
That sure does, yeah. All right, folks, that is our daily debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio crew. And I was looking at the Facebook chat, and a few of them were siding with WEC as well, including Jay DeMello. He says, the WEC brought eyes to the lighter weight divisions. It was my favorite acquisition. You know, we could talk a little bit more about this on tomorrow's show, because this one we can kind of have some fun with and just throw out some of those names. Oh man, all of them had talent. That's for damn sure, man. All of them had talent. It was a really, really difficult question. I thought about it a lot. All right, folks. So what do you guys want to do a little bit of OT, like 2-3 minutes? Are you guys okay with that or no? Because we have
to take this call, yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Danny Olkers? It's really your call.
I'm good.
Okay, so SiriusXM audience, we are going to exit, and more combat sports and entertainment headed your way. It could be at the fights. It could be the Luke Thomas show. It could be Busted Open. You never know, because we're replayed twice a day, and we thank them for that. But we got to bounce out of here and do some OT over on Facebook. So see you over there on the other side. Be champions.
The daytime, if you see it once, you'll never be the same again. I'm gonna keep on the run. I'm gonna have me some fun. It cost me my very last dime. If I wind up broke.
You guys are clear for overtime.
All right, Christian from Houston. We stayed for you, buddy. What's up, man?
Hey, thanks for having me on, even though I feel sad you guys had to go OT after that amazing Mike Jackson interview. That was awesome.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Hey, I'm glad that there is a Houston representative who's willing to step up and actually take on the best in MMA. No disrespect to Derek Lewis, but I really can't wait for that Jackson-Punk fight. But that's not why I called. When it comes down to what Bellator is doing with the Nelson Crocop fight, I mean, do you think that, seeing the fact that Crocop is on this year-long retirement tour, we all know he's fought for Ryzen. We all know that he was suspended, which led to his most recent UFC release. But do you think that if Crocop
stays on with Bellator, win or lose, that it probably might take a while for him to actually retire from the sport of MMA?
I think he could fight from the last fight he saw, or that I saw, which was him versus Mo. I don't know if he's fought since. I think he did fight a couple Japanese fighters.
He actually fought a couple of times after that. He fought against Baruto Hoverson, and then he fought against Amir Ali Akbari to win that Rising tournament last year.
Okay.
He would have a pretty long streak. I wouldn't say that it's the most impressive talent-wise,
Yeah.
but getting a win here would definitely boost it, and maybe that's enough to give him a little bit of a jump to want to maybe compete for something.
Right.
I think right now it's all about money, right?
I know I do flip-flop from time to time on some of my opinions for stuff like this, and I'll tell you what. I want Bellator to succeed and be around and continue to push the UFC, and if that's what it takes is to sign fighters who are past their prime but can still offer something, sure. This is a replay. I've seen this fight. It was here at Mandalay Bay. Nelson versus Krokop. And we saw the result. And Nelson signed on the dotted line, and so did Krokop. And there's a little bit of heat there with some accusations going by. I know one other thing that we could definitely comment on is it right for Bellator to sign a fighter that when he left, you know, he had to basically, if he were to be coming back to the UFC, he wouldn't be able to do it because there'd be a two-year suspension to ride out. He didn't do it. Vitor Belfort did something similar as well. But here we are, and you know what? I guess the bylaws allow him to do so, and Bellator is willing to promote him, and Nelson's willing to fight him. So who am I to stop this guy from going out there and doing it? But I don't know how long he'll be around. I mean, if he gets smashed, he may just go back to Japan and fight, you know, the competition out there. If he smashes Nelson, then think about there's the trilogy angle there alone. Could that be in any form a alternate matchup that gets used later on in the year for as the Strikeforce Grand Prix winds down? It hasn't been officially tabbed as that, but it could happen. So you could see another 3 to 5 fights out of Crow Cup, or you maybe see a one and done. How about you, Dan Tom?
Or
you excited about Crow Cup or no?
Down to that,
Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Go ahead.
down to that, he could fight the winner of the heavyweight Grand Prix for the heavyweight title.
If he beats Nelson, does he deserve it? I think I'd like one more out of him before he does it. But see, that's the thing is Bellator they're not really in that position to say, well, there's a structure here, to a contenders match or anything. It's just kind of like the Wild West. Who's next?
Right.
Who's out there? Like I thought Lashley was starting to look good in some of his fights, but they can't even keep him busy. And then I was happy when Karatanov signed up, and then Ayala waxes him. So it's like nothing seems to work out for them out there. Let's just hope that this tournament works itself out and they have a respected champion.
Yeah, and on the structure note, I can't get excited to answer George's question because, not just that structure. There's the whole aspect of, what market are they going to do the fights? What is their world plan market, and how does that accommodate guys like Krokop, who, with the whole USADA thing, which is a whole other issue, on how he can compete. So what can we even build up for him after this, assuming he gets past Nelson? So yeah, it's hard for me to really look past this fight at all.
They've talked, by the way, about having some testing leading up, but it's not as random as USADA, so it just won't be as strict. You know what I mean? And I don't know that really wins any favors over than just the casual audience that might hear it and go, oh, they're testing.
Yeah,
they're good. The hardcore audience knows that the only way to catch a lot of these athletes is the random testing that USADA does, where they can show up one day and show up 48 hours later and not show up for another 8 months. You just don't know.
The old Chris Hansen approach.
Yep. So there you have it, Christian. I like you a lot, but I don't like you that much. So we got to get going because Man U's playing right now against Sevilla. No spoilers, please. Nobody text me.
Sevilla.
I got to rush home and check this game out. But thanks for calling in, bud. All right.
Hey, thanks for having me on, and I will talk to you guys on social media at MMA Radio.
My man.
All right. Take care. All right, folks. We are out of here. I think I already ran through all the guests, so no sense in doing that. We'll see you all tomorrow with Brandon Marino co-hosting the show in studio, and I'm sure we'll get another fighter or two, so stay tuned for that. So, for Danny back east, Dan Tom to my left, the Goes to my right, I'm George. Have a nice day. Go out there and be champions.
Viva Las Vegas. Viva Las Vegas.